A little bit concerned here for Prince because we were lucky enough to be a part of the ESL Open Cup Asia broadcast this weekend, and we casted the finals. If you remember, the finals was a TvP.
Yes, I do remember this. I do remember ByuN has learned the ways of the boy pulling.
Yes, if you remember, it was the best of 5 grand finals that went all the way to the ace match, and ByuN came out on top against Hero. It wasn't an easy road, but he did make it.
It wasn't just a best of 5 that went all the way to the ace match. It was a reverse sweep by ByuN.
Yeah.
Off the back of pulling the boys.
I highly...
in a game that honestly he should have lost for looking at it, but he put his entire soul into that and was able to get the reverse sweep in the end.
That game on Hardwire was insane. Like, if people want to tune into any series from that broadcast, I highly recommend checking out the VODs of ByuN versus Hero. Game 3 was crazy, absolutely crazy. Oh, and I'm hoping we get more of that here. We'll see as we get into another qualifying match.
On Hardwire, no less. As we spawn in the top right-hand corner map, all the way in the top right-hand corner of Hardwire. Our Red Terran player is going to be spawning with us. He's coming down from the land of Korea. He's going to be representing Shopify Rebellion. Old mate Toby. He is ByuN.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Hardwire LE, we have the South Korean Protoss player himself. He is blue, representing Team GP. It is Prince. Oh. Also, a bit of a fun fact here. We were just talking about how he went to the ace match against Hero and won in the ESL Open Cup Asia finals. In this very qualifier, he also went up against Hero and went to the ace match, but lost in a best of 3.
Oh, well, that makes sense. I mean, Hero did take the first two, games in the finals we casted. So.
Oh boy. So again, it just goes to show that they are still quite competitive with each other. But you were posing the question earlier: how good is Prince's PvT?
That's, what we're going to be figuring out here in this particular series. Again, Prince coming out on top and, maybe being one of the first players to make it to a qualifying match, I think is something that not any of us really expected, especially considering who he had to beat to get there.
Yeah.
But he did avoid this one specific match.
He did.
And historically, it's been a little bit of a weak point for him. Compared to PvP at least.
Yeah. I'm also curious as to whether or not he's adopted the new meta as well. We were talking about how the mass kind of swarm toss style in PvZ was something that Prince was kind of avoiding against Dongregu. That kind of style was also popularized in this matchup by Hero in PvT in a bit of a different way, but again, like, Swarm Toss has risen in popularity. Mass Gateway armies not really relying on splash damage at all. Is Prince, is he also not really akin to that in this matchup? Is that also not really what he enjoys?
I guess that's something to figure out as well. I mean, it is a very stylistic thing, I think, at least when it comes to PvT. Obviously, it is popular nowadays because Hero's been getting a lot of success for it, so yes. Like many things in StarCraft 2, things get popular not necessarily because they're the best way to play, but because one particular player or a couple of players consistently get results with them. So, a lot of other players try to emulate that as well.
We'll see if he's one of them. Meanwhile, so far, Prince has done a great job at just denying vision here. The Reaper is stuck. The Reaper Cliff is locked away, so he doesn't get into the main base. Meanwhile, the Stalker has zoned him away from the natural, so ByuN actually hasn't seen the Twilight Council or the Robo.
And very much in the dark for the time being. He's getting safety tank, making sure that he's nice and set up back at home. Bit of a 2-1
Oh,
coming up from him.
yeah.
No starport yet.
Exactly. We were kind of, theory crafting a lot about Prince, but really we should be looking at ByuN here. He did open up relatively safe because he didn't know if it was a Stargate opener. He did open up with a Cyclone to be able to cover his bases and make sure he was safe and sound here at home against an Oracle. Meanwhile, with that second Rax, he wants to be the aggressor. Of course he does. It's ByuN. In TvP, it's usually him pushing out across the map.
Well, it is usually him pushing out across the map, but that's going to take him quite some time, and before he can really, while he's getting ready to do all that, Prince wants to switch the dynamic a little bit. Warp Prism is coming down, Blink is about to finish up for him. I would not be surprised at all if he tries to sneak into the main.
Oh, exactly. We have 4 gates in total here for Prince. Going to be going across the map. It has the potential to blink into that main base. Meanwhile, ByuN skirting around the edge of the map here with his Cyclone. I'm sure hoping to catch something. Unfortunately, does end up missing that Prism, but we'll be able to rock up across the map.
Like so.
Meanwhile, tanks are nicely positioned. One here covering the natural, the other covering the main.
Yeah, I don't normally see no tanks in the low ground like this.
Yeah.
For this very reason. but because of the positioning of the tanks, it does prevent Prince from getting too deep into the bases of ByuN.
Yeah, I was like, yo, he is so set up for a blink into the main. He's cracked. And then Prince just doesn't blink into the main.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Not behind all of this, that Cyclone, it wasn't a completely wasted journey for that Cyclone. It wasn't able to catch any Oracles or anything like that, but it gets a whole heck of a lot of probes. Very aggressive blink coming out from Prince, but very defensive tanks coming out from ByuN. Prince just lost half his army.
Yeah, that blink was not worth it. He dove on top of one tank and he did get one, and he was trying to focus down the other, but in the end it was not worth it. He took so many tank shots to the face. ByuN, he defended beautifully. On top of that, that one Cyclone getting 10 probes was shocking.
It's not normally what you imagine as a harassment unit, but ByuN was able to make the absolute most of it. He's leapfrogging his tanks further and further forward to just get a bit more of a safer defense here.
Oh, exactly. Meanwhile, he did rotate one of his tanks over from the high ground to the low ground, so now his main base is that much more vulnerable. Meanwhile, quickly looking at ByuN's vision. Oh, does he recognize what's happening?
He should have an inkling for it. Might not necessarily know that that's what he's going for. Great buffer for this tank. Stalkers just cannot get in position to take it out, but the Marines are starting to fall.
Yeah, exactly. The SimCity working a little bit against ByuN. They're trying to catch up with all of these Stalkers. In the end, the Stalkers are going to get cleaned up. And sure, a tank died, but that's the end of the aggression.
Yeah. ByuN just needed a little help from the boys. And 5 of them do go down, but ByuN overall still ahead in the worker count. He's definitely got mules to work with as well if need be. He has to be a little bit careful with this specific Bioforce he wants to before, but at the same time, Prince does not want to play out the remainder of that game. He started writing on the wall.
GG, ByuN defended exactly how he needed. So again, I say that, but also Prince, we saw, had a bit of a patience blink there where he blinked into tank range, and it's like, what? You do that when you see like kind of a weakness there in the defense, but that's not really what there was.
There was no weakness in the defense there, yeah. I mean, Prince saw weakness in the defense. There wasn't one, though.
Yeah, there really wasn't. His eyes were playing tricks on him a little bit there. On top of that, because his economy was crippled, and we saw a situation where the Terran player was ahead in workers, which isn't something you see too often in TvP, Prince knew that he was just far too much behind. Like, there was no point in playing that out.
Yeah, typically in the TvP dynamic like that, conventional wisdom will tell you the Terran player is going to be behind economically, but they're building up a very strong army, so they're going to be pushing across the map because of how, one, because of the harassment that ByuN Cyclone was able to get, and then also, two, because of how the armies kind of clashed when Prince tried to counter-harass. ByuN was ahead in both regards.
He really was. He really was, and I do hope we don't see a similar opener and build from our Protoss player in the second game, but we shall see.
Indeed, we shall, and we are going to be seeing it on Curious Minds, LE. Of course, in the bottom right-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the bottom right-hand corner, we have our red Terran player coming out from the land of Korea. He is, of course, going to be representing Shopify Rebellion. Old mate Lambo, he is ByuN.
And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Curious Minds ALE, we have the South Korean Protoss player himself. He is blue representing Team GP. It is Prince.
You know, if you think about it, Prince isn't that far off from Patience in the name.
They do both start with P, and they are Protoss.
Yeah.
Coincidence?
Got the blink.
Can't just be a coincidence, mate. There's no way.
Yeah, there's no way.
Okay.
How can there be more than one player who blinks a little bit awkwardly?
Just
Not even consistently, not even consistently. Prince has actually been blinking very well.
Yeah, he has been
in his
blinking
series against DRG. He was microing his stalkers.
he really
well.
was, mate. You know, you're out here defaming him, kind of relating him to Patience. How could you? Oh my god.
No. One is all it takes. You know that saying. You know what that saying is. You know, It doesn't matter how many times you do it right. You do it wrong once. That's all they'll remember you for.
That's how you grew up. That's how
It is actually.
God, you're so fickle. You're so fickle, Yaku. One misstep and they're out. They're on a list. Nah. But I believe, mate. I believe. Again, it's still a best of 5. I would be shocked if we see a 3-0 here, in favor of either of these players, in favor of ByuN. I believe in Prince's ability to bring this back.
Yeah, I would definitely be shocked to see a 3-0 in favor of Prince, considering ByuN took game number 1.
Oh yeah, that'd be crazy, mate.
But yeah. Oh yeah, I'm with you there. I'm not really sure what to necessarily expect from Prince's PvT, but he, based on the other series, he's looked like he's in form. He's been controlling as well as he needed to. It's just, you know, he faced up against a DRG who has entered Nitro, like turbo mode or something like that. So yeah, it's not necessarily indicative of his own how Prince is playing right now.
Definitely. And meanwhile, when it comes to this game, we do see a little bit of interesting kind of revelations here, as ByuN is being denied entry into the main base. ByuN also playing this out very safe with a high ground CC. So I think it looks like he was a little bit afraid of a proxy here from Prince after losing the first game. He was a little bit afraid about cheese. So because of this, a little bit inefficient from the side of our Terran player. Outside of that, same opener. Because he hasn't scouted the tech, as we can see, he hasn't seen anything in the main base. He is going for that safety cycling.
He is terrified right now.
Oh yeah, Cyclones, Marines, once again going for the Raxes after the initial factory as well, so a lot of Marines going to be available here defensively. Meanwhile, back across the map, Prince did open up with that Twilight Council.
Yeah, pretty standard blink opening once again. I grieve for the days of the Phoenix openers, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we'll see that again on a larger map, you know, whether we end up on Glittering Ashes or Pride of Altares or something like that, a map where we can get away with that a little bit more easily. Meanwhile, Prince does go for a much later robo compared to last game, so we can see he's not going to be, I doubt he's going to be as aggressive. Oh, I thought, sorry, he was going to go towards this third and actually look for an expansion, but no, never mind.
Yeah, he's definitely got something planned here. Once again, he's going to be aggressive with his blink. Or maybe not necessarily aggressive, you know, just because he's planning to be active with the Warp Prism and Blink Stalkers doesn't mean he's going to try to blink into the main, especially if there are Cyclones here.
Yeah, and there's honestly like a really big difference here that we can all see is that ByuN did kind of move his factory over away from the tech lab because it was a 3 racks afterwards. So there are no tanks. You know, he's not going to have as much of a fortified position here at home.
Is really going to go, or he's really banking on mass bio right now, which
There's no stim.
is very effective. Yes, and ain't done yet. It is very effective, but he doesn't have an anchor point to fall back to.
Exactly. ByuN has been in the dark the entire game. He is gambling so hard right now. He scouts, he sees that there is no third CC. Sorry, there is no third Nexus, and we see the blink into the main.
Already the barracks getting pretty dang bruised. Boys are forced to be pulled right now, and the Cyclones, unable to get their lock-ons onto that Warp Prism. They will at the very least be able to get a couple of these Stalkers. Huh. I never knew that if Stalkers blink away and Cyclones are still in range, they keep the lock-on.
Apparently they do.
Yeah.
The lock-on does stay, but that was already some nice damage being done. 9 SCVs go down, does chip away at the army, but what's important is that ByuN now has Stim.
Yeah, these, for the time being anyway, are acceptable losses for ByuN, but if he loses any more than that, all of a sudden he's gonna be out of options.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, oh my god, we do see Prince still trading here. Nice. Blink's local macro so far, being able to shave away more and more of those Marines. And this is honestly looking pretty good here for Prince. If this Marine count wasn't shaved down so much, I'd be a little bit worried for him because he doesn't have any splash damage. But because he was able to chip away at it, he's going to be okay. And there is splash damage on the horizon.
Yeah, slowly but surely coming out. ByuN also, because of how he opened up, is skipping out on the Raven instead going straight into these medevacs. I like this though, he's starting to focus a little bit on his anchor point, his own splash damage, being that tank. And he's focusing a lot more on Marauders after identifying that, yep, this is Mass Stalker.
Yeah, like ByuN is correctly transitioning into these tanks to make sure he can solidify his own 2 bases, taking a little bit of a risk going for a bit of a drop, and we'll see if he's going to be able to get away with it. So far, Prince hasn't used his warp in, but if he does across the map, then he will have to maybe even recall to go back home.
Yeah, there's nothing really threatening the Warp Prism right now because of this drop. And bear in mind, this is a drop that ByuN kind of needs to do right now. He has had 0 eyes on how Prince was transitioning, but with this, not only does he get a couple of probes, confirms that is in fact a Robo Bay. I'm gonna have to worry about Colossus if I don't want to push out prematurely.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to be pushing out across the map with Stim and then running into Extended Thermal Lens Colossus. That's a terrifying prospect. But so yeah, nice scout here. It does alleviate some pressure. It does force Prince to recall back home. But again, this opener from ByuN was designed to hit a timing, and unfortunately, he wasn't able to. Even now, oh, the lock-on!
Will be able to get that Warp Prism. Very nicely done. That's one fewer thing that ByuN really has to worry about, but like you were saying, you know, ByuN has to do damage. He wasn't planning to get a third base anytime soon.
He throws out another axe. Still doesn't go for the third mate. He wants to kill his opponent right now. We do have 1 Colossus though. Extended Thermal Lance is still only halfway done, so it's not going to be a part of this fight.
Yeah, charge it, finish up, but there aren't too many Zealots right now, so this Marauder heavy force is still going to be pretty effective. I was going to say at this point just pull the boys, but then ByuN decided to throw around a third.
Yeah, third on location. That's how desperate he is right now. This third is looking so exposed. Zealots go and they confirm, yo, the army is moving back. The army is unsieged. He blinks forward.
And with that, he was almost able to take a tank. But this is ByuN we're talking about. He juggles so effectively. Fighting far off of shield battery position does make the Colossus a little bit vulnerable. Yeah. But Prince has correctly identified, I cannot win in the open ground here. Not with the army that I've been building. I was going to retreat and yeah, let things get back to stage 1.
Yeah, exactly. He does back off. We do have a War Prism and 2 more gateways on the way, so eventually he does want to move out, but moving out without a War Prism is risky. You don't have any Warp Ins at home, sorry, across the map. You also don't have a way to micro and keep these Colossus alive either, and we know how ByuN loves to dive on top of them whenever he can. So far, ByuN is getting away with this third base, but again, it's a little bit exposed. This third is so difficult to hold on to here on Curious Minds. It is so wide open. There's a reason why Prince expanded vertically instead of the triangularly, and yeah, we'll see if ByuN can hold on.
Yeah, it's especially trickier in TvP when your Protoss opponent goes for a combination of Stalkers, Chargelets, and Colossus. There's plenty of flanking opportunity there.
Exactly.
But ByuN has reestablished map control.
Yeah, and ByuN, he unsieges, he just steps over the cliff, and now he's across the map. Oh my god, we do have some half-decent force fields here. Does slice up that army. A little bit concerned, though, again, we need some more Colossus coming out. And this fourth, there's no way it finishes.
Yeah, perhaps just a little misjudged when it came to when he should expand and get a 4th base.
Yeah. A little bit too greedy here. Meanwhile, I'm shocked that we didn't see a third Colossus, and that is because we see Disruptors coming out. Bit of a Zealot run by is going to get caught by the reinforcements.
Yeah, but ByuN's going to be losing workers regardless. So once again, if nothing else, or best case scenario, I should say, rather, this can force ByuN to get into an all-in.
Yeah, exactly. What's happening right now is that Prince is buying time. Here we go. The first Disruptor is out. These Novas are so important.
Every single... At this point, if you're ByuN, just full of boys.
Oh my god. The Disruptor goes down!
Oh no! He was not expecting those 2 tanks to still be sieged up there. And with that, ByuN just stims on forward, takes out the rest of the army. Who needs mining when you got an army? When you got a tank line? Not ByuN.
Not ByuN. GG, well played. He takes a 2-0 lead in the series. Again, even though ByuN had a third CC, it was never really saturated. I mean, he didn't really have a high worker count at all, let's be honest. Oh my god. And you even pointed it out. Prince expanding and taking a 4th base instead of really focusing on his army was so greedy. It was crazy. Against ByuN? Against ByuN? Wild.
Absolutely wild. Alright, plays already. Let's go, Inu versus Light. Nah, I'm kidding.
So yeah, I misjudged the situation a little bit. Prince did. Other than that, he did have a much better opener compared to game number 1. But the follow-up there was lacking a little bit more. Like great harass across the map, you know, kind of forcing ByuN all in there. But he was more than happy to go all in. He was more than happy to stim forward and win.
Yeah, this is not just a ByuN we're talking about, who by default his mode is aggressive, but this is a ByuN who went kind of unsatisfied, if you know what I mean. You know, he pushed out, he didn't get anything done. He will not rest until he's able to, and until he's able to do that damage. And Prince, you know, kind of was hoping ByuN would do the opposite.
Yeah, he really was. But now we take a break from the smaller maps and we are headed into one of the larger ones.
Oh, yes, indeed. That map, of course, being Glittering Ashes, LE. We're in the top right-hand corner map, running all the way in the top right-hand corner. We have our red Terran player coming out from the land of Korea. He's going to be representing Shopify Rebellion, old mate Dario. He is ByuN.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Glittering Ashes ALE, we have the South Korean Protoss player himself up against the wall, down 0-2 in this best-of-5 qualifying match. He needs to win every single game from here on forward to qualify for HomeStory Cup 21. It is Prince.
Glittering Ashes, definitely think it suits him a little bit better.
Oh yeah, we go from, again, I was honestly shocked that we had Curious Minds, but these are best of 5, so both players, they only get 1 veto each, so it's understandable that a map like that would go through, but those small maps are so brutal when you're playing against a player like ByuN.
Absolutely. They will just send out what he's got and then keep sending it.
Well, he sent out what he's got and then suddenly he's there. He's in your face, you know? It's
yeah. Like, how did that happen? It's like, you know, 1 minute he's walking towards me. Next second, he's in front of me.
Yeah, there's just not that much terrain to maneuver, you know? As opposed to a map like this. So I do want to give a bit of a better edge here to Prince. I do think that if he wants to go into a longer game, if he wants to eventually expand and take a 4th base, he has a higher likelihood of doing so on Glittering Ashes. But at the same time, I'm sure ByuN is aware of that, and ByuN is more than willing to adapt as well.
Yeah, we'll see how ByuN decides to play this a little bit slower, I imagine. I mean, that's usually what Terran players like to do on Glittering Ashes. But then again, this is ByuN.
Yeah, it is. Again, one of the most, if not the most aggressive Terran player out there in this matchup. At the moment, his Reaper was looking around for proxies over towards the right-hand side of the map, making sure nothing crazy was going on, making sure everything is on the up and up.
And it is, for the time being. Oh, it's out the Twilight Council once again.
Yeah, this time is able to get the full scout of this time, confirming that there is no Stargate opener. There aren't going to be any Phoenixes here coming out from Prince. Eventually, we'll lose the Reaper, but well worth it. Well worth it.
Indeed, it was.
And ByuN, he's switching things up, Yaku.
He is. A bit of a less aggressive opening coming out from him. Mind Drop will ideally do damage, but primarily it's just here to get some scouting information. Actually, I was set Mind Drop. Let's just one mine into a tech lab.
Interesting. I mean, there is a medevac for a drop anyway. We do have a decent amount of Marines being pumped out as well, so very interesting kind of opener here from ByuN. He still does have those 2 mines, so not the most dedicated with a mine drop. He is setting himself up just in case something does end up running by. Let's just get a couple of free shots off, and now lined up to meet up with the medevac.
Like so.
So as you were pointing out, only 2 Widow Mines, so not the biggest commitment. Is it going to deal damage? It shouldn't. It shouldn't. Prince should be on point with his probe pulling, with his micro.
It may still do damage.
I hope not.
And this has gone a little bit unscouted because went for a bit of an alternative rally point, but Prince, he's on top of it. Stalkers are here to deflect the medevac. There's really no easy way for this medevac to get in, not from the natural base anyway.
Yeah, the medevac doesn't really do much here. I mean, because it's still alive, you know, at any moment, if Prince ever moves these Stalkers away, then ByuN can just boost on in, unload, and maybe deal some damage if Prince has his attention elsewhere. You know, like when he moves out across the map with his Blink Stalkers.
So pretty consistent with this build so far, and I can't say I blame him. I mean, it's, again, Blink Stalkers with Warp Prisms. It's meant to be a bit more aggressive, but you still have a lot of options with it. If you scout your opponents being a bit more aggressive, you have the opportunity to turn around. Oh, I was worried for a sec. I was very worried for a sec, but Prince does pull his probes away just in time.
Beautiful. Meanwhile, because the Twilight Council opener was scattered, we do have tanks, but the Stim gets denied.
Shut the hell down.
Oh, beautiful pickup here by Prince. The tanks were not in position whatsoever. ByuN didn't have vision outside his triangular third. He did not know where the Stalkers were going to come in from. And just like that, already worth it.
Yeah. Prince gonna warp in. No, he should not in tank range. But
I mean, mate, there's literally no tech labs right now. It just has to be rebuilt. Marines are trying to sneak up on that warp prism, and oh my god, what?
Oh, the stutter stepping was there for ByuN. Not just stutter stepping, but the target firing as well.
I mean, he was being so sneaky. He was move commanding as far as he could, hoping that Prince wasn't looking, and he wasn't. He left his Warp Prism a little bit idle, so now he can't reinforce across the map. He can maybe, with his Blink Micro, try and cancel and deny a Stim again. It's risky, though.
Yeah, not when there are 2 tanks in position all sieged up. Prince is aware of this, however. Thankfully, he does have the Observer in position.
Yeah, he does see the tanks as they slowly siege on forward. It looks like he wants to dive on top of the tanks.
And he should be able to get at least one of them. Yup. And should be able to blink away as well when things get too tricky. So not bad. Not a bad start right now for Prince. Behind all of this, he is still teching up. He's still getting this Colossus and the Thermal Ants. Was really able to delay the push of ByuN as well.
He really was. I mean, Stim is huge. Like, slowing that down is everything here. Meanwhile, ByuN is not done. He does go into the main base, keeps the Raven alive somehow, and throws down those double auto turrets. But shield battery overcharge keeps the probes alive.
That's silly to watch. 2 auto turrets and 1 probe. Nah, mate. I got the battery overcharge. But yeah, it does. I don't know. I guess it's fine because by the time ByuN pushes out, he should have it off cooldown.
I would hope so. So far, the Raven hasn't done too much. 2 probe kills. It is something. And again, it's an energy-based unit, so it has time to regather all of that energy. Meanwhile, Prince going for that fast 4th base. This time should be getting away with it. Again, the pushes take so much longer. Not just, pushing out across the map, but also because of that delay on Stim.
So at this point, if you're ByuN, you want to be pulling the boys.
I'm gonna need you to calm down, buddy, okay? Meanwhile, we see a scan observer is taken out. I believe the observer was still able to confirm that the third was being floated over, so, you know, Prince can have a little bit of solace in that, knowing that there is going to be a third CC. So he does at least have that knowledge going for him as he slowly works up and gets his Colossus out.
Yeah, he doesn't want to over-defend right now. Because ByuN doesn't want to be overly aggressive either.
Yeah, exactly. And now Princess, he's getting into a much more comfortable game. This is where he wanted to go into on Curious Minds, if you remember. I'm sure in some of the other maps as well. He wanted a longer game. He wanted to get into the mid game with a decent economy. That's exactly what he's doing. So, again, we are primed to see Prince show off what he has in this matchup.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of his early game PVT, a little bit of his mid game. What is his late game looking like? Hopefully we'll be able to find out on Glittering Ashes.
Yeah. Hopefully we can get there. So far, again, Prince just focusing a lot more on his economy, getting fully saturated on 4 bases. We do see Archons coming out. We could even see Storm as well. We do see the army pushing across the map. I believe the War Prism was just made. There we go. It is meeting up with the army, but the scan confirms this.
Yeah, ByuN is well aware that Prince is pushing out right now. He's got a very fortified position here by the third base. A couple of buildings a bit exposed, but it's not the biggest of deals right now.
Oh, exactly. We see the scan, and ByuN confirms the location of the army. He rotates his tanks around, getting ready for the push, even working on some Sim City with the CC. At the same time, a drop at the fourth.
Forces a recall and even gets a couple of probes. Well worth it to lose that SCV? Yeah, Medevac.
Yeah, 8 probe kills, not bad at all. That alleviates all the pressure. Now ByuN can freely push out, nothing to worry about. And yeah, he can maybe look to hit one of the other fringe bases. Ooh, Prince expanding towards his opponent. Oh my god.
Wow. I like this actually.
Yeah, it means it's a little bit easier to defend. His army is close by, but it's also closer to ByuN.
Yeah, and that base is definitely also prime within tank range, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it's because, like you said, you know, it's easier to defend when your army's in the front line and in the back line. Oh wow!
Oh my god!
Great snipe of the Raven, but before it goes down, it is able to throw out its interference matrices.
Yeah, at the same time, we have a massive Zealot run by here at the third base, and the natural reinforcements are looking to help clean these up, but we even have Zealots in the main.
We have Zealots everywhere right now, but as all this is going on, you know, Prince is losing that 4th base. ByuN slowly encroaching further and further forward. He still has 4 tanks, and that can be scary. But there's a shield battery by the space.
Yeah, and ByuN is losing everything across the map, by the way. 22 SCVs just went down and counting. Eventually, the Zealots are going to get cleaned up. But what about this main army pushing into shield batteries, disruptors, Colossus? It's so difficult. So instead, he goes to drop into the main.
Purification Ovens get thrown down, and they will, at the very least, help clear out these tanks. We do see a massive drop into the main base of Prince, but yeah, ByuN is gonna have to do a lot more to equalize the damage that Prince did.
Exactly, he needs to do a lot more, and he's just not doing it here, mate. Prince just eviscerated the mineral lines across the map. Despite that, though, ByuN is behind in the workers, but not by that much.
Yeah, I'm honestly a little bit surprised. With Mules, he's gonna be able to catch up when it comes to at least the mineral income.
Yeah. I'm a little bit, I'm shocked by that. I mean, there are some other things, though. Again, his tank count was reset. He lost a lot of his firepower, a lot of his army supply in general. He is transitioning into something else. You know, we do see Ghost coming out, a much more versatile composition that ByuN enjoys, but oh, even loses a drop.
Yeah, there's a real Phoenix now, no longer a Luke.
No longer. What's important, though, is that thankfully for ByuN, Prince didn't have a 5th base, so he's been stuck on 3-base economy for a while now. You know, losing this 4th was pretty detrimental, so it's difficult for Prince to really explode and counterattack as soon as possible. He is now moving out with a pretty terrifying disruptor count.
That's 5 of them. Right over there.
Yeah. It's a lot of disruptors, mate.
a little bit tough to snipe them before Purification Ovens can land. if he throws them all out simultaneously.
Yeah, and again, unfortunately, we only have a single tank here for ByuN, so pushing into these bases is going to be that much easier here for Prince. What makes it difficult is again, those ghosts, those EMPs.
Yes, a couple of well-placed shots. We'll be able to wipe out just about half the health of the Protoss army.
Just like that.
So.
Exactly. EMP connects with all of those stalkers. We do see Prince having to rotate around because of the Venn diagrams, because of these sensor towers. ByuN sees everything.
And what does he do with this vision? Nails a couple of EMPs.
Oh yeah, three Novas. Oh, 3 Novas are sent out. A little bit of friendly fire there. 1 Archon goes down.
And now the majority of them are on cooldown.
Yeah, I think Prince was a little bit trigger happy there with his Purification Novas, and now ByuN can move out. He has to be careful not to be caught out by that army. I don't know if he is fully aware about its location. Scans, misses, and now his Sensor Tower sees. Uh-oh. He has to push up a ramp.
Yeah, trying to bait out a surround, but Prince did not fall for any of it. Decent Nova.
Yeah, decent Nova does connect with a lot of those Marauders, but now Liberators are coming out. Tanks were rebuilt as well, so ByuN has a bit of a better defensive position here. It's a little bit more difficult for Prince to push in, and this isn't even all of ByuN's army.
It very much isn't. We do see a massive run by on the other side of the map, taking out whatever it can. Prince should kind of notice, wait a minute, that's not your entire army. Might be able to break on through, but instead he backs off.
Yeah, and Prince, he gets into the main base with a War Prism. Unfortunately, Prince doesn't have a lot of free supply to build anything else. We did see a recall. Oh!
And we do see a lot of dodging of the Novas.
Yeah, ByuN got surrounded. He doesn't lose too much though. Only 1 medevac does go down. ByuN able to evacuate with the rest. Meanwhile, War Prism was dealt with in the main base. ByuN doesn't have to worry about any more harassment. And Prince is transitioning and taking flight, going to the skies.
You'll love to see it. I was going to say, ByuN is adapting to more of a ground-focused army at this point, or at least a army that can counter the ground army of Prince, but it's not going to have to worry about that for a while more.
Exactly, like Liberators are king against ground toss. Against sky toss, it's a bit of a different story. ByuN hasn't seen this yet. He does not know. I believe he does have a drop here towards the bottom right. I was thinking maybe if it sneaks in, he will be able to see everything, but at the moment, he's still in the dark.
Is it going the opposite direction?
I don't know. Oh god, maybe he recognized he got spotted by the probe. I mean, we do see Prince trying to catch any kind of drop here towards the bottom right, so ByuN does want to risk it. He doesn't want to lose too much. He turns around, comes back home. And yeah, with that, starports are being thrown down. Viking production has commenced. I believe there was a scan in the middle of the map. I believe ByuN did see the carrier.
Yeah, he's going to try to consolidate his forces because he cannot set up his army and fight carriers at the same time.
Exactly, man, exactly. And I don't know if Prince has the best army right now. Like, typically with this, you see Storm. Disruptors can be great. We'll see if they're going to be enough. Oh my god! No!
That's some juicy connections, some juicier ones.
Mate.
And that tank, the juiciest of them all.
Sometimes you need one. We just saw 3 made. Prince gets the best Novas he could have hoped for. He takes a massive supply lead, and now he's pushing on up this ramp.
And he's asserting himself on the ramp.
Yeah, exactly, just waiting for another volley of these Novas. Meanwhile, it's really difficult pushing into these tank lines, into these Liberators. So Prince doesn't want to risk it. Not yet. He still doesn't have the most ideal army. He's still working on his carrier count, still trying to find a way up into these bases.
He ain't getting it just yet, but maybe with a couple of Novas. ByuN does pull away right on time. He doesn't lose too many units. Decent snipe there.
Snipe is decent. At the same time, we do see a bit of... Okay, there was a Zealot roundup, but it does get cleaned up. We do have a planetary there over at that 4th base. Ooh, ByuN holding on. He took a little bit of a dip with his supply, but he's rebuilding.
Yeah, at a bit of a quicker rate than Prince. That's usually the game. It is hurting him a little bit more than it is Prince.
Exactly, and that Viking count is getting pretty high. Not gonna lie, like, soon ByuN, he can maybe take a fight.
Definitely trying, but I think if he wants to do that, he needs to pull the voice.
Shaking my head, Yaku. Here we go. One of the last Novas going off, zoning away that Bio Army, but here we go. It's time to step forward. Ooh, another Nova does take him back, and at the same time, Zealot run by just takes down every single worker here.
I think we're gonna get Prince putting a point on the board.
He's getting close, mate. ByuN is being pulled apart right now. He just hasn't been able to take a fight. He just keeps getting zoned away by all of these disruptors.
Yeah, it's really tougher now for ByuN. His Liberators get zoned out by the Carriers and the Stalkers, and then the rest of his army gets zoned out by the Disruptors.
Oh my god, exactly. He just can't. He wants to so bad. He wants to dive on top of the carriers, but he just can't do it. His army is being whittled away and he just doesn't have the supply.
But he's gonna try. The recall gets forced here in the third base location.
Recall is forced, and because of that, the interceptors are going to be rebuilt. They were actually running out, by the way. You know, ByuN was actually finding some headway. Once again, he tries to dive on top of those carriers, but he just can't do it. The charge lets are too much.
Probably the best buffer you can available to the player in StarCraft 2. GG is called. Prince puts a point on that board, proving he is not a pushover in PvT.
Yeah, you let this man get into late game, you let him get into Skytoss, and he can make some magic happen. Prince puts a point on the board. ByuN will not get a 3-0.
Thankfully.
Exactly. We are getting a much more of a back and forth here. But again, bearing in mind that Prince was able to do this on one of the largest, if not the largest map in the map pool. Uh-oh. Do you see?
And as we say that.
Yeah. Oh boy, it looks like map number 4 is gonna be Berlingrad.
Hope we're all comfortable with Whiplash here. Go from the largest map to the smallest one.
Yeah, I have to wonder what the hell was vetoed.
I imagine Blackburn.
Yeah, I guess Blackburn must have been vetoed for Prince. Unfortunately, again, you only get one veto, so Berlingrad gets through. A lot more ideal here for ByuN. The chances, the likelihood of Prince actually getting to the late game and actually getting into something like Skytoss again, it's not that high.
Yeah. But it's there.
It is there. It is there. It's not impossible. It's not impossible to do on these smaller maps. I do worry for him, though. I do worry. Regardless, I'm glad that we do have more of a back and forth going on. And just letting everyone know, it looks as if ByuN did ask for, or sorry, Prince asked for a small break.
But that break is now up. Players are back and good to go.
Yeah, the players are now ready. They are prepared. Ooh, I'm sure Prince was maybe just a little bit nervous after that first win. I'm sure he's maybe got some adrenaline pumping through his system. Ooh, he's got to shake it off, shake it all off, and work on that reverse sweep. Yeah. You know.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, we do have a couple of other updates going on as we get into this. It looks like we do have confirmation. Bunny did end up falling to Solar. The other qualifying match is a PvZ between Zaun and Solar.
Ooh. Look, we balance it out here in the lower bracket. But that is that. And this is this. This, of course, being Berlingrad LE, where in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, starting all the way in the bottom right-hand corner, we have a red Terran player coming down from the land of Korea. He's going to be representing Shopify Rebellion. All mate Scarlet, he is ByuN.
And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Berlingrad LE, we have the South Korean Protoss player himself representing Team GP. It is Prince. Fighting back in this series.
Yeah, once we really get to see it, once he does get into the swing of things, once he's in a comfortable economic position, he's able to just dictate the pace of the rest of the game.
Yeah, definitely. You know, again, there's a reason why Prince is in a qualifying match. He's a great player. He's amazing at what he does. He may be more notable when it comes to the other matchups, PvP and PvZ, but here in PvT, he still has something to offer us. Not just us, but also to offer ByuN. So we'll see if he can go all the way. Again, we've spoken about it before, but it does take a lot of like mental fortitude and a lot of resilience to be able to pull off something like a reverse sweep. Does Prince have it in him? I mean, he's gonna have to if he wants to qualify.
Today, at least.
Today.
There are multiple qualifying. There are multiple Korean qualifiers, but of course, you know, it's must be said, a couple of big names were missing today, and it's not like they didn't know that these were going on. They just planned to play in some of the later ones, so.
Yeah. Notably, Sue is missing. You know, Maru as well. Trap, I believe. Maybe Zest. I don't know if Zest can even play. I don't know. We keep saying Zest is going to the military, but he never goes. So he may even play in HomeStory Cup as well. I don't know.
See, here's the thing. Zest is already in the military. He's just also whatchamacallit at the same time. This is his service.
There you go. This is his service to play StarCraft. And he is doing his duty. He's serving his country. Oh god. Other than that, anyone else coming to mind? Cure. Cure is missing.
Sure, yeah. There were 3 players today who signed up and didn't check in. That I don't really remember who they were. I know Maru and Sue, 2 of them. I don't remember who the third was.
Yeah, I can't quite recall either. But yeah, so there were a couple that were missing. I'm sure eventually we will see all of them. Maybe not all on this channel. Again, there's a lot of games that go on and we are limited as to what we can cover. But we will do our best in future qualifiers. But for now, for the time being, we are in this qualifying match.
That we most definitely are.
Yeah, and May, I don't know if you noticed, but we have a lot of Reapers here. Oh my god, is this over before it began? Because the first death already goes down. Oh my god, how good is the target firing here? ByuN, he keeps all of his Reapers alive for the time being, but now he finally loses one of them.
Yeah, really good use of the Hellion earlier on and the KD8 charge from here as well. But Prince does have enough defenses. He will be able to chase this back. ByuN, honestly, not really getting much scouting done either, did he?
No, he scouted the natural and he saw the robo, which I mean does indicate Twilight Council play, to be fair. So he gets some scouting information, doesn't get confirmation though, as Prince is waiting out here at the Reaper Cliff, looking to deny any kind of scouting. Meanwhile, I also love how we were kind of like talking a little bit about the other qualifiers. I was following the army of ByuN, and it like my mind, it didn't register what I was looking at, the fact that he had made 3 Reapers.
Yeah.
It's getting late here. It's getting late.
It is quite a little bit. Reaper will get shut down once again, but you know, an important scout for ByuN here that he was able to catch. Third base is being thrown out by Prince.
Third base is being thrown out. Widowmine shot goes off, taking down one of the stalkers, but only one. As Prince is headed out across Z map. What's interesting though about this is that even though Prince opened up with a robo, he this time did not go for a War Prism.
Yeah, it's just straight up Stalker Immortal with +1.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure a lot of this is because of the aggressive opener by ByuN here. He's pushing out across the map. Doesn't have any upgrades here with his bio army. Stim is halfway done, so it may finish up for a fight. Oh, even Sieges here in the middle of the map.
Yeah, which Prince is aware of and just dips around, catches a couple of reinforcements.
Yeah, meanwhile, nice scan. The Observer does get picked off, so now Prince is a little bit more in the dark. He doesn't know when or where the army is when it unsieges. He is hot on the tails of the tank, is able to force it back out of the middle of the map.
And ByuN is gonna have to, you know, take a little bit of a pause here. He can't really continue pushing in, not without Stim at the very least, but I think ideally he's going to be waiting for some medevac support as well.
Yeah, I do appreciate that he turns around. I do think that his push had a lot more to do with a bit of a surprise factor than anything else. And because he got scattered, well, I mean, that prompted Immortal production, for example. It prompted Prince to be a little bit more defensive, so the likelihood of this push working wasn't very high. So ByuN, he backs off and he keeps the majority of his army alive.
Yeah, he's gonna consolidate with the rest of his forces and gear up for round 2, which involves a drop.
Here we go, double drop is going across the map, mate. Let's go. Again, we don't really have too many units out here spotting for Prince. He's moving out with a probe now, as well as with his main army, but he is missing the drop.
Yeah, we'll see how devastating that can really be. Recall is always available for Prince, but not in the main. I don't believe he has the energy for it.
Yeah, exactly. Not enough energy. He's forced to pull all the boys. At the same time, ByuN's tank army is headed towards the third base. Ooh, but he does get intercepted.
Yeah, there are enough forces here to be a credible threat right now. Really nice use of choke point. But once the rest of the army gets into position, ByuN will have no other choice but to back away.
Yeah, he backs away with both his armies. He hasn't really lost too much. Looking at the units lost tab, it's mainly Marines, you know, a Marauder. Again, being very conservative with his units overall. I do like it. I do love it. Again, ByuN is kind of known for his aggression, but that doesn't mean he doesn't think before he acts. Being very meticulous.
Yeah, it's just he thinks so quickly, you know? Seems like he doesn't.
Meanwhile, Prince, he sneaks into the main base, but the army of ByuN was already at home anyway, so these elves shouldn't be doing too much at all. A little bit unlucky here for Prince. I'm sure he was hoping that ByuN was active on the map.
And he was trying to be, in fairness, but yeah, ByuN understands that you can't have your entire army roaming across the map. Just focusing on roaming with a double drop.
Exactly. Meanwhile, you have a recall back home, so Prince also ends his own aggression, and now he's approaching things in a bit of a different way. We've seen him rely a lot on robo-based kind of splash damage, and instead, he's going for Storm.
I think the first time in the series, yeah?
Yeah.
Alright, we'll see how this plays out. Ideally, ByuN would have a couple of ghosts to be able to deal with that, but ghosts are a bit more of a mid to late game unit. There's nothing really prompting him to dip into it right now. That's a massive drop going into the main.
It really is. I mean, we do have a Ghost Academy already. ByuN loves going for his Ghost. That's why Storm may not be the best idea. Finally, Prince is setting up a bunch of spotter pylons here across the map. Will it be able to see this drop? It looks like it will.
But did Prince see it? Yes, he was a little preoccupied with the army in the front.
Oh, you're not wrong, mate. This time there's still not enough energy for a recall at home, but you know what? Prince doesn't want to go home.
Yeah, I mean, he can't go home right now. He's got his entire army over here, and he's going to try to do whatever he can with it. Should be enough to break through this door. Storms being thrown out on mostly tanks, and funnily enough, it's enough to kill it.
Yeah, the wall was not a wall. The tanks are going down. We are going into a full base trade mode right now. Prince, he goes into the main base, and he's going to be getting on top of all of the production. Ghosts are coming up, but they're dying immediately, and ByuN knows that he has to evacuate. He needs to load up these SCVs and get the hell out of here. Meanwhile, across the map, he takes down the second next side. There's still potential for a recall, though. Again, there's still plenty more where that came from.
Yeah, plenty more, and ByuN has no eyes on them.
Oh, meanwhile, here we go. He heads towards the third base. Gonna work on this next side as well. Workers crossing paths, as both players are kind of trading places in a way.
Well, back to square one.
Oh boy, and we'll see how this is going to end up. The final next site has been found. The cannons and shoe batteries are not going to be finished up here for Prince, as he's also trying to hunt down that last remaining CC. Oh, I say last remaining. There's also one towards the bottom left.
There is. Funnily enough, both players definitely have enough money for another base if need be.
CC does go down. I don't think Prince is aware about that bottom left-hand base. Meanwhile, probes have been evacuated, and there we go. We do have a nexus on the right-hand side as well. Looking at the units, which I think that's probably a little bit more important here. We only have a single ghost for ByuN.
That is scary, to say the least.
Yeah, he doesn't have a lot of EMP potential. I do think that in a head-on engagement, I feel like Prince should be able to come out on top.
Yeah, I'm honestly surprised looking at the army supply right now. It felt like ByuN had a bigger army, but that's just because Prince was splitting up his army a little bit to try to catch the rogue bases.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how this goes. There are a couple of Widow Mines mixed in here, and Widow Mines can definitely change the tide of a battle, but Prince, he has come back home. He wants that fight. He wants that engagement. Pushing up a ramp is always a difficult thing to do, but, I mean, he's looking to do it.
Let's see if he is able to bait away a couple of Widow Mine shots. Not quite yet.
Boy, not quite yet, indeed. Meanwhile, Prince is going to be happily mining soon, so he can look to rebuild his army. Everything in the main base is being cleaned up, but, ooh, Prince, because of the Prism, you know, there are multiple ways to get into this main.
He could blink. Oh, but now our Vikings out right now.
Yeah, he could blink. He could try an elevator. Meanwhile, ByuN has solidified himself here in the main base. Mining has resumed. Production is being rebuilt here. Can Prince make this happen? To be fair, Prince only has half his army here.
He does, actually.
Yeah.
The rest of the army has gone back home to defend, and I'm not sure if that's necessarily the right call to make.
Yeah, we do see a Doom Drop head.
Evacuate.
Yeah, we just see a Doom Drop headed across the map. This is going to be spotted, though, by Prince, and the spotter pylons still coming into play. You love to see it. The rest of his army is here at his next side, and I think ByuN's better chances maybe to land the CC and maybe resume mining himself, but he's committed.
I'd agree with that, but yeah, he's definitely most committed, and he also doesn't realize what he has to deal with either. You see Nexus being retaken.
Exactly, the Widow Mines are borrowing. How good are those shots going to be? They do go off on those Zealots. Decent connections, but does he have enough to fight through Overcharge?
Absolutely not, which is why he's trying to kite back to an area without Overcharge.
Yeah, but there's just not enough firepower here. GG gets called. Prince takes it to the ace match.
He is on the road right now to reverse sweep. And while that's all going on, we actually just got an update here on the bracket. Solar, despite starting that series later, has taken up Zaun 3-0.
I like how we with this series we were like, oh, maybe we can catch Solar versus Zaun, you know, like it's a ZVP, maybe that goes on a little bit longer. Nah, mate, Solar made quick work of that. Congratulations, our third player to qualify in this HomeStory Cup Korean qualifier is Solar.
And now there's only one. Will it be a Terran player? Or will it be a Protoss player?
Oh, that is the question, mate. There can be only one. So far, we've had 2 Zergs and a Protoss qualify. To round it out, a Terran would be nice. But at the same time, Prince has been fighting so hard for this. He wants it, mate. He wants it so bad. We ended up in a really odd game there with a bit of a base trade. But now we go to one of the more standard maps.
Probably the most standard map, yeah. So I guess the 2 vetoes were Pride of Altaris and Blackburn.
Oh boy, oh boy. Here we go. It all comes down to this. I do appreciate that we have a more standard map because I feel like this may prompt ByuN to not be as all in. Like we saw him like, we saw him be so aggressive there on Berlin, incredibly aggressive on Berlingrad. I don't blame him, but we also saw Prince keep up.
We did. Look, it's not a real all-in if you don't pull the boys.
True. I mean, he was forced to pull the boys, to be fair.
He was,
like...
yeah. It was a base trade.
Right, here we go, mate. Here we go, mate. This is it. This is the final game.
Yeah. It is going to be the final game of the evening of this particular Korean qualifier. And it's going to be the final player qualifying for HomeStory Cup number 21 Lost Island. Who's it going to be? Potentially a player in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, spawning all the way in the bottom left-hand corner. A red Terran player coming out from the land of Korea, representing Shopify Rebellion. He is going to be... Wait. Yes, representing Shopify Rebellion, old mate Capital Kevin. He is ByuN.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of 2000 Atmospheres LE, we have the South Korean Protoss player himself. He is blue, representing Team GP. It is Prince. Making the reverse sweep a reality, question mark?
I think so.
Maybe.
That's why I predicted him.
It's possible. I also want to apologize a little bit because apparently my gain throughout this broadcast has been higher than it usually is. I apologize.
Oh, I liked it though.
You're like the bass though, the bass.
The bass.
I apologize. I have lowered it, so the audio balancing should be a little bit better. I like how I fixed it for the ace match.
Yeah, this
like,
is when you should
game.
bump the gain up to the max.
Just go full partying, mate. Let's go.
Yeah. Why isn't that one of our intro redemptions?
There's a reason for that, Yaku. We don't want to kill people's ears, mate. We don't want to kill their ears.
I mean,
Ay. Oh, all right, here we go. Game 5. It all comes down to this, the ace match, mate. How are our players going to respond here? ByuN was so close, but in shambles. It is slowly slipping through his fingers. Meanwhile, Prince, you know, I'll be honest, I didn't believe in the possibility of a reverse sweep. I was like, there's no way. And he switches things up.
yo! It's just about being confirmed now then. Prince is going to be our final player to qualify for HomeStory Cup. No, but yeah, this is definitely something that could catch ByuN very, very much off guard, especially considering the fact that throughout this entire series, Prince has been really, really good at preventing ByuN from getting that scout off into his main base.
Yeah, it's not just about preventing the scout, it's about the fact that Prince has sold a story. And the story that Prince has sold is, hey ByuN, I just go for blink openers every game. I'm
a gateway boy.
Yeah, I'm a gate boy, you know? I just open up, I just make stalkers and I blink. That's all I do. And because of that, because ByuN hasn't been able to scout, it's possible that he's making assumptions. Thankfully, still despite all of that, there's a reason why he's a world-class player. He still makes the Cyclone.
Yeah, this Oracle, I'd be surprised if it gets more than 2 SV kills, personally.
Exactly, mate. I'd be surprised as well.
Yep. Yeah, sorry. I was just... Instinct took over a little bit. I was going to say, I think this is a bit of a tell here with when you see the Adepts out. Yeah.
I agree.
Gasp something.
Yeah, I agree. Like, going for Adepts Oracle Harass is a lot more common nowadays. So ByuN may be well aware. He does have the Cyclone in his main. Immediately locks on!
Yeah, not quite able to get much hull damage. Good reaction coming out from Prince, but come on.
Yeah.
It's a great defense from ByuN regardless.
Yeah, unfortunately, Prince wasn't, like, edging. You know, he wasn't going towards, like, the outskirts of the map. He was just going straight into the main, exactly where the Cyclone happened to be. So, you know, maybe ByuN was a little bit lucky. You know, maybe Prince was a little bit overly ambitious or overconfident. Regardless, the Oracle so far hasn't been able to pay for itself. Is still alive, though. Always potential for damage.
Yeah, it's actually... Yeah, it's regained all of its lost shields. Again, not a single lick of hull damage has been dealt to it, so...
Brand new?
Yeah. Well, better than brand new. It's got more energy.
True. And here we go. Stasis traps are being thrown down defensively. We do see a transition into Phoenixes here for Prince. Again, you know, ideally we want to see around 5 or so Phoenixes to help micro, help gain or help maintain that map control.
He's slowly getting it.
Huh?
You know, the tables are definitely going to turn once ByuN finishes up Sim, which is right now.
Yeah, and we'll see if ByuN is going to push out, because he did go for another 3 racks here, a 3 racks follow-up after the factory. Oh, another look on said Oracle. But because of this, I'm sure he wants to hit a Sim timing. And I'm a little bit worried for Prince, because I don't know if you noticed, but Prince, off of very few gateways, is going straight into a Robotics Bay. Like, he's being relatively greedy with how he is teching right now, working off of a very small army to go into Colossus. But despite that, like, he's doing that despite the fact that he scattered all of this. He knows that a push should be coming soon. He's like, yeah, so what? I'll hold, I'll defend.
Well, you know,
yeah, that's
got a lot of Phoenixes, and those Phoenixes don't really have much to lift. There's one tank, which, you know, is good to lift up. That's also a lot of Marines. It's so important that he has the Stasis Ward in position. He is getting his Colossus out now, and this is a majority Marine army. But just like that, Stasis gets popped.
Bold move, mate. He goes for a drop instead, and he gets caught out by the Phoenixes. The drop is going to do nothing, and I feel like Prince has successfully bought time for the first Colossus.
Yeah, ByuN shouldn't be able to break him now. He's going to have to get back to the drawing board a little bit or get ready for round 2. A couple Marauders are on the way, which is nice.
He picks up a pylon. Yeah, nice supply block. He's going to try and push up this ramp. There is an Immortal waiting for him, going for the surround though.
And he will kind of get the surround, but not really, thanks to that force field. Colossus is so exposed!
Ah, the Colossus is exposed. The Marines, they dive on top of it. There's no more to keep alive, and the Colossus goes down.
Just like that, Prince's chance.
Oh my god.
Prince's options have gone. Situation has gone from bad to worse. GG is called in the blink of an eye, and ByuN will be the final player qualifying today, at least, for HomeStory Cup number 21, Lost Island.
Oh,
unbelievable.
Mates, beyond believable. Yo. Mates, the Colossus was the one thing. You had one job to keep the Colossus alive. Yeah. That is how you defend against these 3-racks pushes. With Colossus, with splash damage. He had it. It came out. He bought the time. But he didn't babysit it. You know, he let it run free. He let it run wild, and it waddled into oncoming traffic, mate. Yeah. Oh, no. God, get off the road, buddy. Get off the road. And, it was a disaster. Oh.
Ay. And let's not, whatchamacallit. I mean, it is important to remember that, Prince was playing that out extremely greedily, extremely riskily.
He was.
But after the initial deflection, I mean, it was, kind of odd that ByuN did pick up his Marines and zoom to the other side, rotate around when Prince had eyes on him, thanks to that revelation.
Yeah.
But it did look like he went through the worst of it. If he could just keep the Colossus alive.
Yeah.
We could have gotten more of a macro game. We could have seen a similar scenario where Prince gets on a comfortable economic position and he is able to get that army he likes.
Yeah.
But ByuN, he sees one opening, and that's all he needs.
Yeah, 100%, mate. So, basically, Prince was going for a very greedy style. But on a knife's edge, if he keeps the Colossus alive, then he can hold and he's just ahead. He's just in such a prime position in that game to win it. Maybe not win it then and there, but again, just like ahead essentially. And we even saw him defend quite well. Even before that, we saw the force fields on the ramp, keep the tanks on the low ground as well. Everything was looking up for Prince, and then the Colossus just rallies out. It's like
Colossus is like, all right, stick with the group. Don't stray away. Otherwise, the dinosaurs will get you.
What happened to the buddy system?
Nah.
Who was his buddy? What was going on? GG.
But yeah, GG. I will say that Prince definitely impressed us a lot today. Again, it's just been a very long time since we saw Prince really pop off or be active in tournaments like this, and the fact that he was able to make it to 2 qualifying matches and to get to the ace match to ByuN, that's, I think, a very good sign for him, especially if he were to sign up again on Friday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
exactly. Not the end for the Korean region.
Exactly. As you were saying, it wasn't the end. This isn't the end for Prince. This isn't the end for all these players that didn't qualify today. They have more chances ahead of them. The players that did qualify today don't have anything to worry about. They have secured their spots there in Germany in HomeStory Cup. So congratulations to Solar, to ByuN, Hero, and Dongregu. They have more than earned their spots tonight. And I hope everyone looks forward to seeing them live from the Lost Island.
From Lost Island, yeah. That's copyrighted.
Okay. Oh god, and with that does conclude our coverage for tonight. Not the longest broadcast, 4 hours on the dot, basically. Not bad for a qualifier. Again, the Korean qualifiers are shorter than the others because there are more spots, so thankfully we don't have to play out the entire bracket.
Yeah, that would I think lead us into sunrise where you're at, Light, and just before sunrise where I'm at, if we did have to play out the entire bracket.
Oh yeah. Oh god. And with that, again, I hope everyone enjoyed themselves here watching the Korean qualifiers. If you want to tune into more of the HomeStory Cup qualifiers, we already casted the Chinese qualifier and the Latin American qualifier, and we're going to keep on covering as many of the qualifiers as we can.
Yeah. We're going to be here, and we're going to be in Krefeld as well. No, not. But yeah, it's definitely out of all the offline tournaments to resume here, Light, I gotta be honest, HomeStory Cup was the one I was most excited for to get back in. Obviously, it's stay-at-home Story Cup, and the last couple of them, we had a bit of a hybrid system,
Mm-hmm.
Some players were online, some players were at a venue, but I'm really looking forward to getting that magic of HomeStory Cup coming back, even though it is going to be a little bit more serious now, since it is officially part of the ESL Pro Tour. I still think there's a lot, I still think they can still have a lot of that, atmosphere that they've had in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we're going to be really excited to see which players actually qualify for that.
Yeah, I'm sure it's something that everyone has been missing. It's going to be difficult to top HomeStory Cup 20. If you remember, that was such an event. It was such a momentous occasion. Everything went right for it.
It was a miles. Yep.
Yeah,
I bought merch for that.
Same.
And then I broke it.
Yeah, I got my in-game.
I still have it.
My in-game HomeStory Cup banner and all this stuff going on as well.
I got the actual cup that they were selling.
Yeah, he got the actual HomeStory Cup, and then Yaku just destroyed it, shaking my head.
On accident.
In a fit
Roddy
of rage.
was shirtless.
Roddy was shirtless. Cyril jumped into the pool. They got their own private island, quote unquote, sort of thing. They basically hosted it at a resort. Mike Morheim was there. Kim Fan was there as well. Volt was there. Volticus.
He was there with Kerwin.
He was there with Kerwin. Oh god, it was beautiful, and I feel like Take has big shoes to fill. It's difficult to even meet that again, but they're gonna do their best.
Look, it may not be HomeStory Cup Vegas, but it's a Lost Island.
It's the Lost Island, It's number 2, the second go
return to the. That's why they're calling it the Lost Island, because it's the return.
It's the return to the island, mate. It's the return.
It's a return to Take's house.
It's a return to Take's house. There you go. So yeah. I mean, I know we're gonna do our best to tune in. We're based in Australia and Singapore, respectively. So it's HomeStory Cup is always at an awful time for us. European events in general are not ideal, but I'm more than willing to ruin my sleep schedule just to watch it.
Yeah, as am I. I've been trying to petition Take to hold it in Malaysia, to hold the next one in Malaysia, but he's like, he hasn't replied to me yet.
I don't think he will. I'll be honest. I think he's gonna leave you on red, mate. I think he's gonna leave you on red. But yes, I hope everyone enjoyed their time here. I hope everyone will tune into the rest of the qualifiers and the main event as well, or at least the VODs when they come out. But if you want to tune in to the Ducklings, to someone like Yaku, who won't be streaming because he's a full-time student right now and he has to focus on his assignments.
I'm actually, yep. I just looked at my schedule this week, and got 4 days consecutively of face-to-face classes.
Oh.
So, yep.
So Yaku may not be streaming anytime soon, but when you do stream, where will that be?
Twitch.tv/Yakuzaku1 is where that happens. And I tend to announce it on Twitter at Twitter.com at Empora Yakuzaku if I do go live with that. But I may forget, so exclamation mark Discord in the chat. We'll bring you into the CranKy Ducklings Discord server. I'm there, Light is there, Kuro is there, Steel Mold is there, Ryu is there. Most importantly, the bot that announces when we're live is there. So they'll save me a little bit if I forget to tweet.
Yes. So check him out, Yakuzaku1 on Twitch and Empora Yakuzaku on Twitter. Make him tweet more. Yeah, make him.
I should. I should tweet more. What else am I gonna do?
There was a good run, during our DreamHack cast where you did do a selfie every now and then. We need to bring that back.
Well, that's because I had to show the people what behind the scenes wardrobing looked like.
True. Meanwhile, if you want other kinds of behind the scenes, then you can follow me at light_VIP on Twitch and Twitter as well. I do stream throughout the week. I've been streaming every day so far, trying to be a little bit consistent, just mainly laddering, sometimes some like editing or like thumbnail work for the CranKy Ducklings on stream as well, just to like break up the monotony a little bit. So yeah, if you're interested in that, then you can follow me there. Otherwise, if you're just interested in the StarCraft, in the casting of StarCraft, then follow us here on the CranKy Ducklings. We're all over the place. We have social media. We have Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Discord server, YouTube for all of our VODs if you can't watch them live. And yeah, we appreciate the support. We appreciate that everyone tuned in.
Yeah, definitely. Hope we all had a good time. That's that's why we do it,
Yeah.
It's for you. Well, actually, I kind of do it because it's fun, but it's for you people.
Yeah, we do it for the people, but it's also fun. We also enjoy it, and that's the best thing, right? Hopefully, the people who are doing this enjoy it. They get a lot of, a lot out of it, I should say. So yeah, it was a great day of StarCraft, great night of StarCraft. Our next broadcast, quickly looking at our Google Calendar, is going to be Friday night. Korean qualifier number 2.
Yeah.
Yes. 16 squats and Seki in the chat was just pointing it out. And it is going to be in over a day, right?
Yes. Yeah, about 24 plus 20 hours. So what is that, like 24 plus 44-ish hours, something like that. We had a good like solid 1 week. After DreamHack, where we returned with our own events, and that was a nice respite. But yeah, we are unfortunately gonna have to put that on hold a little bit, but they will be returning after the DreamHack qualifiers.
Yeah, in just under 2 days, we have our next broadcast. As you were saying, our regular tournaments will eventually come back. Maybe watch like the TSL qualifiers announced after this. We just keep having to cast other events. But they'll come back eventually. And yeah, they're always a lot of fun as well. And with that, thank you so much everyone for watching. Stick around, we're going to give another streamer a bit of a raid. Not too sure who. We'll give it to someone.
Streaming Teamfight Tactics.
If he wasn't streaming Teamfight Tactics, I would raid him. I would 100% raid Ryu, of course. Shaking my head, Ryu, shaking my head. But yeah, stick around. We're gonna give someone else a bit of a raid, give them some love, give them some support. Who exactly, I'm not sure, but
I'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
You have any recommendations? Put them in now. Because by the time the 2-minute delay finishes up, you'll have probably 10 seconds before we make a decision.
Yes, it has to be StarCraft related.
Yes.
Yes, thank you so much for watching. Yaku, do you have anything else you want to add before we head off?
I just remembered. Did you cast my replay?
No, Darking wasn't there.
Rip.
He wasn't there.
SMH my head. Kunara Darking in the chat.
I do owe you a cast, though. Would you like me to solo cast it, or would you like me to cast it with Darking?
I gotta be honest. I don't remember what happened in the game. I
Well, you
played in high
told
school
me
with
that
it.
you wanted docking to cost
Yeah,
specifically.
yeah. I just remember it was a TvT,
Mhm.
and I wanted Darking's take on it because it was a
Okay.
TvT.
All right.
But I have no. I honestly don't remember. It was like 2 weeks ago.
I'll
or something.
I'll save it for
Pulled it out.
my next cost with docking. I'll make him cost it. I'll make him cost it.
Sick.
There you go. There you go. So thank you everyone for watching. We'll see you guys in 2 days. Until then, enjoy yourselves.
Yeah.
Ciao.
Bella.